Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. And I've begun this morning's reflection with the sounds of bells, the sounds of church bells. We don't often hear church bells today. I sometimes hear the bell at St. Anne's, the chapel bell ring, and then on a Sunday morning we hear the bell which rings at the local Anglican church. But other than that, bells are quite rare. Yet in ancient times, bells were an important part of community. Sometimes bells were used to indicate the time. But more importantly, in the ancient monasteries, and even in monasteries today, bells were used then and used now, to interrupt the rush and tumble of life. They had a purpose, to make you stop. And their purpose then was, as they interrupt the rush and tumble of life, the purpose was to refocus people on God, to wrench people's attentions back to what was really important in life, to remind people that God is in their midst, that God is right here with us now. And you see, we forget that. And that's why a bell is an important reminder to come back to that truth, that God is here with us now. These bells would stop people in mid-flight and cause them to question what they were doing and ask them what they were listening to. Were they listening to the cries of the needy? Were they listening to the stirrings of God within their own inner world? You see, isn't it true that what we pay attention to in life is what is really important to us? What we pay attention to in life is really what we are committed to. What we pay attention to in life tells us something about what makes us happy. And so one of the most important questions that we can ask ourselves is, where do I spend my time? And what am I doing in that place where I spend my time? And what calls me back to where I am meant to be? What calls me back to the place of being purposeful, intentional, and doing things that have meaning? So what are the bells in your life? Most of us don't have real bells, but perhaps we have something that draws our attention again and again to what is truly important. What reminds you to remember the suffering around you? What reminds you to comfort the grieving? What reminds you to feed the unfed? What reminds you to do the work of God on earth? The bells that you listen to deliberately interrupt what you are doing and make you listen to life. They remind you to consider what you should be doing with this moment now. What you should be doing that would draw you beyond the chaos that would draw you beyond your own inner pain and confusion. These are the questions that should nag us. What are the needs around me in this moment? What pain, what sorrow, what grief must be dealt with now? What is weighing me down in this moment? Whatever controls your thinking controls you. And so what is getting your attention now? What is important to you and determines the way you behave now? Is it status, popularity, success, loss, fear, anxiety, hopelessness? And what should get your attention in this moment? You see, when we do what we should be doing, that's when God's grace fills us. That's when His power sustains us. And that's when you and I are able to make our part of the world just that little bit better by simply doing what we should be doing. God created the world, but He did not finish that creation. He's left the finishing of His work up to us. That's the important thing that lies in our hands. And so our bells remind us of what is purposeless in life. They make you ask, what is absorbing you in the moment, and what should be absorbing you in the moment? In all of life, some things get our attention more than others. And the question is, should it? What means the most to you? The value of your work, or what you're paid for it? You see, we all need a bell. It could be a sound on your watch. It could be the chimes in your window. We all need something that will distract us from worry, boredom, fear, and disappointment. We all need something that calls us to something greater than the worries of life. So put some sound in your life that stops you and turns you towards your real purpose, causing you to pause long enough to thank God for life, to ask for strength, and to commit yourself to God's greater call.